Well, could this be the beginning of the end of the tech industry's biggest headaches? Well, results this week from three heavyweights indicate that the global semiconductor shortage is easing, while supply chain shortages are also improving. SK Hynix, that's the world's second largest memory chip maker, saw operating profits soar 340% on year in the fourth quarter to about $3.5 billion. Revenue jumped 55% to $10 billion. Hynix expects that supply chain issues will gradually improve beginning in the second half of this year. In fact, in a show of confidence, the firm announced plans to nearly double shipments of its flash memory chips this year. Well, Apple, too, expects an easing in supply chain issues. The tech titan handed down another blowout earnings report. Revenue jumped 11% to $124 billion in the quarter to December, and earnings per share also beat projections, up about 25% to $210. Earlier, Samsung Electronics reported its best fourth quarter profit in 4 years as record sales helped overcome pandemic-induced supply chain challenges and forecasts a recovery in global tech device demand. Now, the global chip shortage has disrupted the production of everything from electronic devices to cars, and the chip makers have been on a spending spree to try and alleviate some of that crunch. Well, TSMC, the world's biggest contract chip maker, said it would spend up to $44 billion on new capacity this year. Its American rival Intel also has plans to up capacity, same for Samsung, as well as even smaller firms like Infineon in Europe. Now, while the move is welcome news for the industry's customers, there are growing concerns that the money being poured into the sector will turn the boom into bust. Now, an oversupply of chips is a possible scenario because demand can change much more quickly than the time needed to build a chip factory. So fears now that a glut could materialize as part of the semiconductor cycle. And Kiranjeet Kaur from IDC joins us now. Oh, Kiranjeet, give us your sense of the state of the supply chain squeeze that has hindered the tech sector, in the past 12 months. Are things improving as these companies appear to be telling us?
When we talk about the supply chain shortages, I think we should also keep in mind that the supply has also been at all-time high. The demand for devices has really shot up during the pandemic. So the supply chain is only just coping up with the very high demand that we see. Now, this crunch that we've been seeing over the last couple of quarters, I think that's going to continue over the next couple of quarters as well. Although I might say that the worst is probably over. It should start to ease, but I think at least in the first half of 2022, we should still expect supply chain constraints.
Well, you are a device specialist. What does an improving supply chain situation mean for, these products like mobile phones and other devices?
If you just look at, the latest earnings that we've seen from Apple and Samsung, their shipments have really been very good in the December quarter. So the demand and the supply for devices has been strong, but at the same time, it's not been enough to keep up with the demand in the market. So when we're talking about the supply chain shortages and how if it's going to improve, it's mostly about, looking at the demand and supply, mismatch we've been seeing when that recovers and balances out. And hopefully, in the next couple of quarters, we should be in that situation.
Well, I do want to zoom in a little on Apple's results. So that beat estimates for every category except iPads. Was that surprising given the chip situation plus those inflationary pressures as well?
I guess it was kind of a strategic move also to kind of focus on the iPhones because it was the peak quarter for iPhones once the iPhone 13 series was launched. So now, once we get into the March quarter, I think the iPhones will slow down and that will probably provide more space for iPads to grow consequentially.
Well, at the same time, Apple is selling plenty of iPhones in China, but it wasn't long ago that Chinese manufacturers were testing its lead. So what's happened in that market to sort of turn things around for Apple?
Interestingly, Apple used to be in the lead in the premium segment in the China market, and then came in Huawei with its P series and Mate series, which really took off very well in the China market in the premium segment. Now with the trade bans and supply constraints that Huawei is facing with its chipsets for its own smartphones, that has kind of paved way for other vendors to kind of expand in the China market, or especially in the premium segment. But what we've seen is that for other Chinese players such as Xiaomi, Vivo, and Oppo, it's been a little bit of a hard journey to kind of make way into the premium segment, whereas Apple is well established. So Huawei's drop in the China market has kind of really, been a boon for Apple in that market.
Thanks, Kiranjeet Kaur there at IDC.